Hello, guys. Hope you're doing well. This is TJ, and you're listening to Beyond the Ring podcast. And welcome to my review of Dark Side of the Ring on Dynamite Kid. And this was a sad documentary. And Dynamite Kid, we know him as the one half of the British Bulldog tag team alongside Davey Boy Smith. And we also had a brief. Kind of info here because he actually worked in Stampede Wrestling, All Japan Pro Wrestling, and WWF as well mainly. And I don't know, haven't seen his work, but he is considered as an innovator in wrestling, and he has a very large effect on how Owen Hart or how even new like other wrestlers, like other high flyer wrestlers have come about. And that innovation actually began from Dynamite Kid's style. And Dynamite Kid's his real name was Thomas Billington, and his name was Thomas Billington. And Dynamite Kid actually had ushered in and very ushered in, as I said, a very fast paced era of wrestling and hard hitting wrestling. And he had strength as well. And we initially we thought about we actually had Landstorm taking out his thoughts on Dynamite Kid, and how he was a trailblazer in wrestling, and how he was different from other wrestlers, and how he actually ushered in this new kind of wrestling style. And Dynamite Kid actually was trained in a snake pit wrestling a training center under Ted Bentley. And it was here where he learned taking serious punishment. And Mick Foley kind of believed that his contribution is contributed to Dynamite's approach of wrestling. And Mick Foley had a match with Dynamite Kid where actually they had a tag team contest. They faced Mick Foley actually faced British Bulldogs in a tag team contest, and Foley recalled that taking a serious very hit onto the jaw, and his jaw was dislocated, and he couldn't eat solid foods for 3 weeks. And some memories that he said about. So he was very stiff and hard hitting, and and also he was a very fast paced wrestler. And certainly that effect is that kind of style is still being followed. So we cannot be kind of escape to say thank you to him for evolving this style, and how this affected into more of the other wrestlers who came after him. So Michelle Billington, who was Thomas Billington's wife, and Dynamite Kid's wife, and they were being introduced. Michelle is a sister of Julie Hart, and Julie Hart is the ex-wife of Bret Hart. So they are cousins actually. Julie said Julie was protective of Michelle, almost in a kind of a mother way. And Michelle first saw Thomas Billington in the ring with Hart, and Thomas and Michelle would get know one another, sparking a relationship. She was 18 when they were married, and Thomas Billington was kind of scared to hold their eldest daughter. And Brawny comes about, and she's the eldest daughter of Dynamite Kid, and seeing their youngest child is their daughter Amaris. And so Brownie and Amaris are the Dynamite Kid's daughter. So they actually spoke on this episode as well. And they get into the wrestling career then. And Dynamite Kid in 1980s was a very top performer. And in addition to Stampede Wrestling, he also was working in Japan, including All Japan Pro Wrestling, New Japan Pro Wrestling. And he also worked with Tiger Mask, Satoru Sayama. And due to the quickness and execution of the matches, his style actually worked in Japan as well. So Mick Foley actually recalled discovering his work as a young fan on watching his matches on tapes. And at his short period and his at his short period and his shorts size, and how Dynamite Kid had to outperform even at the risk of his own body, because he was not kind of very I mean, he was not a very 6 feet or 6 feet or he was not big, and he was certainly a strong guy. And in 1984, Dynamite Kid signed with the WWF World Wrestling Federation, and he joined his extended family members, including Davey Boy Smith, in the company during his time in the because this was a time when Stampede Wrestling actually was sold on to Vince McMahon. We covered in any biography of Bret Hart that. So Dynamite. In this period of WWF, he became more muscular, and he was a pure muscle guy, according to former professional wrestler Dan Spivey. And nonetheless, the kids. Of explosive offense made him a very good star, and the episode covered his addiction to the steroid use as well. And Scott McGee also comes about, and he recalled wrestlers giving each other steroid shots with the needles being thrown at the walls like darts. And man, that period was very danger, man, compared to this period where I don't think so it's happening. So that period was very hard to be a professional wrestler. So Dynamite Kid and Davey Boy Smith became the British Bulldogs, and they were being pushed as a tag team. And together they have a faster, harder style compared to other teams in the WWF at that time. So they had a special style. They had a aura. They had a special kind of connection with the fans, and they earned a WWF Tag Team Championship match at WrestleMania 2, where they won the titles. And after this, he get into the more of the because of his substance issue, and because of his steroid use, he actually started to behavior outside of the ring became very erratic, and leading to personal conflicts from to other with other wrestlers. Billington actually put the sleeping pills in the drink of one wrestler called Mitch Snow, and it was narrated, and Billington believed Snow to be restrictful. That's why he put on that. And as the wrestler slept, Billington and Smith sneaked into the room. Billington defecated in his bag and shaved his eyebrow. So very bad behavior, uh, very bad behavior that he actually had outside of the wrestling. And Billington's jokes were less playful, more aggressive, and he was a kind of a mocking kind of way. And so his certainly he wasn't that good in his real life. And during a non-televised match in 1986, he actually had a back injury, and he was rushed to the hospital where surgery was performed, where they actually doctors actually said that two discs were removed from his neck, from his back. Sorry, roughly 2 weeks later, he was later back in the ring. He was not in a condition to perform. Certainly, the British Bulldogs soon actually dropped the titles to the Hart Foundation, Jim Neidhart, Jim the Anvil Neidhart, and Bret Hart actually, and they actually show the footage. And Billington was barely involved in the match, as he was actually laying around near the steel steps, and being struck from behind by Jimmy Hart's megaphone. That took a title change. And months later, Billington actually returned to the ring, resulting in more personal conflicts, because one night actually. Michelle ordered a tonic water. They were in a bar or some kind of something, and Billington actually drank and spat it out before angrily asking why she would order it. On the ride home, Billington actually argued with Michelle then, and about ordering. So he was certainly very angry person, in because I don't know why, but because maybe because of his job, because of his injuries that actually laid him back. And he haven't he getting not to work, that's why. And he was the the memories that they had, the good memories that they had, was turning into negative ones, because they were having personal conflicts. And it was he was getting angry as she was about to go to sleep. Billington ordered her out of bed, and she shoved her in a closet and ordered her to stay there the rest of the night. Very rude behavior that he actually shown to his wife, and she would soon give birth to their son, his third son, child, Marek. And according to Michelle, she said that Billington was more patient with Marek maybe out of guilt, as we expect, as I see. So Dynamite Kid was also involved in multiple backstage encounters, and Jack Raw J, and this was also a wrestler. They were in a tag team called the Fabulous Rogers, and he actually was also being interviewed, and he actually once wrestled the British Bulldogs, and that match actually go to a draw. And while the Rogers were pleased with the result because they kind of were expected that, and now that makes that the Dynamite Kid tag team and the Fabulous Rogers are on the same level. So Dynamite didn't like that, and backstage, Jacques Rogers was playing cards with Mr. Perfect, and suddenly Rogers was struck from behind by Dynamite, which was followed by a mounted assault on him, and he had injured, and he was fearful for his life, and then he was plotting a revenge, because what he did was, and certainly if anyone does like this, out of the decision of the company that they actually had a draw, and you are hitting him, unsafe work environment you are creating, and certainly you would be, if you are angry, and you would plot revenge. And Roger was suggested by his father to get a roll of quarters while he was planning to get a revenge on Dynamite Kid, and he finally comes to a TV tipping as Raj was standing, as Dynamite Kid was entering into the arena, and Raj used the roll of quarters and struck Dynamite across the face, and it's also been said that it was not a roll of quarters, it was brass knuckles, because it actually thrashed his jaw. And the impact caused blood coming out of his mouth, and four teeth was gone to fly from Dynamite's mouth. And Rouge actually threatened that next time he would put Dynamite in a wheelchair, and this encounter seemed to damage Dynamite's reputation, as he was in fairly upper echelon of the pushing kind of in the because they were the tag because they've been a loved tag team, and certainly Dynamite plotted revenge on his of his own. Unlike Roach, he wouldn't be able to carry it out. He was also playing out a revenge story, but he didn't. That didn't got it. And then we get to Dino Bravo's takes on Thomas Billington, and Dino Bravo had ties to organized crime. In response to said warning, Billington actually presented Michelle with a gun, and he informed his wife of potential mafia involvement. And Billington actually spoke to Bravo, who actually saw an envelope with Billington's name on it, as well as his family's address and a picture. So they were kind of afraid that maybe some mafia involvement would be there that would threaten our family, because children were there. That's why. So Billington's name on it, as well as his family address and a picture of their house. Furthermore, he was told if there was any retaliation on the end, the Billington's family would be dead. This resulted in the family selling their house because of the afraidness of if they could attack. That's why. So Roach actually spoke about the potential involvement of mafias, mobs. He regarded Bravo as a stooge to the British Bulldogs. In other words, anything Roach said to Bravo would be brought to the Bulldogs. And Roach wrote actually fictitious name on a sheet of paper and presented it to Bravo, saying that if the person on the paper wasn't called every night, things will be taken care of. And Billington's time in the WWE would end following the Survivor Series 1988 event, and soon he gone to return to Japan, but he was in pain that time. Despite he continued to wrestle at a high level during a tour in Japan, he complained about the pain in his arm. It was discovered that there were torn ligaments in his arm. This intensified Dynamite's rage, resulting in fightings at home, and creating a very bad environment in the home. In addition to becoming more involved with drugs and drinking, and I'm sure that this is the main thing that all the wrestlers face. And if getting involved in drugs and drinking, that would make you turn into a very bad monster. And that actually is not the Dynamite Kids documentary we've been seeing many versions, many documentaries, and many of them had this kind of steroid use and all. So they all had this effect on all. And certainly this is due to the this is the one which actually affected the family life, the real life of Dynamite Kid, I am sure that. And he would also watch wrestling matches from his past, including those with Tiger Mask, reminiscing on his best days in wrestling. And Michelle actually recalled very disturbed kind of New Year's Eve, having a breaking point moment for her. And along with a group of friends, Billington came home at 10 p.m. His shirt was covered with blood. One of his friend's cheek was cut, and he was wearing sunglasses. So his elder daughter asked what it was. So they said that I simply fell down. And Billington's continued behavior impacted Michelle, and she was very afraid and of how the environment was becoming, and of the family, the real life real life problems that they had. So Michelle uh, actually Billington continued behavior impacted Michelle, who became kind of a suicidal. She finally gave him a one-way ticket to England. In response, Billington that she said that she's going to England. Yeah, she said that you go to England and I want to live here. But Billington actually slapped her, I think, and dragged Michelle. And she was pregnant right then with pregnant right now at that time with Amaris, and by her hair, he pulled her across the floor and executed a chokehold. And Michelle refused to leave. And Billington grabbed a shotgun, threatening her to leave, and even putting the gun to her head. And she called the police. And while the children watched uh, uh, in surprise, and uh, Michelle Michelle called the police, and but ultimately she took the children, because police said if he's saying that to leave, then you leave. What is the policeman thinking? I don't know, man. Is this what? I mean, it's all over and nothing to say about. Wellington moved back to England in 1991. During this time, Michelle actually gave birth to Amaris, and Billington would soon reach out to Michelle, believing that he had a problem. He wrestled his retirement match in Japan, and at this time he looked very different, man. He was so lean at that time, and he certainly was not good. And Billington actually, after his wrestling career, he after his retirement match in Japan, he became involved in bare knuckle fights. He returned to Japan for a comeback. He showcased the shadow of the former Dynamite Kid. He became incredibly skinny, practically skin and bone, as I said by this point, not longer after he lost the use of his left leg, confining him to a wheelchair for lifelong, and he would never return to Canada to see his family. And this was the end of a part of the period of wrestling as well as their life. And post that, she was interviewed for a Chris Benoit documentary, because that shook the entire wrestling world. So at this time, CNN News actually had an interview, and Michelle was there. And this documentary actually created due to the media frenzy following the Benoit family tragedy in 2007. This particular documentary focused on domestic abuse at the hands of wrestlers. So that actually came into light Billington's behavior. Where she spoke about Billington's domestic abuse in public for the first time. The night prior, she revealed to her children the complicated truth of their father. And she actually, her elder daughter said she actually hated how what he did to his mother. But certainly Brownie had a soft corner. And Brownie, his elder daughter, after 15 years, she decided to see her father, and Amaris declined to do so. Brownie traveled to England for a surprise visit. When she saw his father confined to a wheelchair after 15 years of separation, she broke down crying. Billington cried as well, apologized to his daughter, and this is the time he apologized for anything to her. By this time, his health actually declined tremendously, and he eventually would suffer a stroke in 2013, and he passed away on December 5th, 2018. And Thomas Billington passed away at December. Thomas Billington, aka the Dynamite Kid, passed away on December 5th, 2018. And despite this thing, at the end we saw he remains one of the most influential figures in pro wrestling history, and one of the innovators, and one of the game changing, you can say, in the way actually he had his the style actually brought about. Our story is one that can said that Mick Foley told, our story is not one that can be told without a sad ending, because that's a fact. And Michelle understood that his legacy as a wrestler was what he wanted to give his children, even though she didn't agree before, but gradually she understood that that's the thing that he wanted to give to her children, his children. Foley said that Dynamite Kid isn't the first and won't be the last to suffer for to their art, this art, and paying for it each day for the rest of their life. And if you see the last sentence, it includes all the things, because it's not easy to become a pro wrestler, and even now it's not easy, because even though it's not now the steroid use, and now it's more of a known thing, and we know that how it actually impacts our life, but still there's a lot of things that actually impacts pro wrestlers life. So I mean, it's a very tough life to be to being away from the family, and very many challenges that pro wrestlers face in their career. So I hope they actually I hope they actually have a good life, and as well as a very good wrestling career as well, the future as well. So and that's it, man. This is my review of the Dynamite Kids Dark Side of the Ring. Certainly a sad version, a sad documentary, but it is what it is. So a very good documentary. You can watch this 45-minute documentary. So I hope you you should have watched it by the time now, because I make this review 2 weeks apart. So next we will be seeing a Vice China documentary, which they actually put on last week, and I'll be certainly be doing it on Monday. So I hope you will be checking out that as well. I hope you enjoyed this review, a short, concise review, and I hope you guys to see in the next review, guys. Until then, be safe, stay energetic, and peace.